Good morning, everyone. This is Movin Mark out on Route 66 again here, and I've got some absolutely drop-dead gorgeous cars surrounding me right now. It's an absolute must-stop on Route 66 as you're coming through. And I'm here with Mr. Jerry, and he's going to tell us a little bit about where we're at and introduce himself and go from there. Good morning, Jerry. How are you this morning?
Good morning, Mark.
Sir?
Good to see you.
You too, sir.
Good morning there, friends. Look who stopped by to see me today. It's Movin Mark. Hey, guys, just want to tell you a little bit about the place here, Russell's Travel Center. We're in the museum now. That's my territory here. Mr. Russell's been collecting these cars, these classics, for about 40 years. There's roughly 65 to 70 of the museum quality vehicles in the collection, of which we do 21 on display at any given time here. They're rotated, we try to do a couple of times a year, 8 cars at a time, and which, as you might imagine, is quite an undertaking. And we're not allowed by law to start the cars inside the building, so the only time they get started is once we push them out the door, and then we start them from out there when we do the rotations. The Russells kind of got started in the grocery business back in the early 70s, and they took one 2,600 square foot store that they built themselves up in Tamron, New Mexico, a tiny little mountain town, which is kind of the gateway to Angel Fire, Eagle Nest, Red River area, northern New Mexico. And our original location is at exit 419 on I-25 as you're going north on Interstate 25. And they've been there about 24, 25 years. We were 9 years old this past July 14th here. And it's a much larger facility here than it is there. It was built specifically for these cars in mind. This room here, the museum, is 4,500 square feet out of the little over 20,000 of the total facility. It's a great job. I mean, if you're kind of a gearhead like I am, and I mean, how could you not like a job like this? You know, I mean, it's an amazing place. They're great folks to work for, and kind of let me do my thing in here, me and my partners in crime in here. And we're very proud to do what we do here. It's quite a draw, as you might imagine. There's no entry fee to get in here. I often tell people it's free to get in, but it's $10 to get out. But or you can dust off 2 cars either way.
There you go.
Straight out. But actually, it's all free. There's, like I say, 21 cars total here, plus some of the things you can see on the walls. About 6 months ago, Mark Russell had me to count all of the toy trucks and cars in the building, of which I came up with about 1,479 trucks and 509 cars. And so I just said tell them over 2,000.
Well, that is an amazing story. What relation do the Russells and yourself have to Route 66? How do y'all tie yourselves into being, per se, on the route?
Well, we're the youngsters here, as I was saying. We were only 9 years old at this location in this past July. So we're the youngsters here. But this location itself, the original business here was a little cafe and truck stop with a small motel that was behind it called TL2. Well, that stands for Texas Longhorn 2, which would indicate there was a Texas Longhorn 1. The Texas Longhorn, the original location, is in Glen Rio. And everybody on the route knows about Glen Rio. And knowing that I-40 was on its way through here back in the late 60s, the Erishman family moved the Longhorn over here, built a new facility, and dubbed it TL2, and served food and pumped gas, and had a little motel behind it. And then in about the early 70s, I-40 actually did make it around Glen Rio, which effectively killed Glen Rio. And the Airsmans kept this facility open, their facility, their original one, until about 94 or 95, and then the family closed the business. And somewhere around right prior to 2008, the Russells bought this property, and although they took down the old original TL2 building, there's dozens of photographs and a lot of photographic and written history in here in the museum about that facility. And it was on the route, and the original Texas Longhorn is, as I say, is over in Glen Rio. And there have been little efforts. Some people here about a year or so ago got a little out of hand and started putting graffiti on the old Texas Longhorn. Well, those of us in this area, that kind of incensed us quite a bit. And mine and Mark's great friends, Gary and Stephanie Daggett over in Bushland, took it on themselves and went over and painted over the graffiti and everything. So cleaned up around the old Longhorn.
That's one thing that I noticed. It seemed like the graffiti and the vandalism is getting worse up and down the route. And
it is.
And I kind of attribute some of that to everybody's favorite stop of Cadillac Ranch. It's got setting a mentality to it. But
it does.
Want to keep this positive as we can, but the graffiti and vandalism is really, even for a newbie like me, in a year I've seen tremendous downturn in things that are going on. As far as your ties personally to 66, what does 66 mean to you, and how can we keep this going into the 22nd century?
Well, Mark, I was born and raised over in Vega, Texas, which is one of the main stops on Route 66 now, with the old Magnolia Building, the Milburn Price Culture Museum, and a few other places there in town. And back in the day, we didn't call it Route 66. When I was growing up, it was just the highway. You know, nobody had any relation to Route 66. And as I've gotten older and started learning more about it, and especially since I've gone to work here and made the contacts and relationships I have on the route, it's really amazing. It's a fun thing to do, and the culture that goes along with Route 66. I found here, working here in the museum and being here at Russell's, our European and foreign visitors, Australia, New Zealand, they are just wild about the route. A lot of them, I'm ashamed to say, a lot of them know more about it than we do, you know. And they come in here and they've got their books, and they've anybody that does it seriously arms themselves with Jerry's Easy Guide to Route 66, which is a must-have, and it's fun to watch, and they come through and they ask a lot of questions, and they want to get on as much of the route as the original route as they can, which in this area is kind of hard to do. But growing up over there in Vega, I'm on the board of the Chamber of Commerce of Oldham County over there now, which, you know, it comes right through our county. And so we try our best to help promote the route, as well as other business and stuff there in Oldham County. And then we're real close kin right here to Quake County, Tucumcari, San Juan, and so we're all kind of in the same boat right along this area of the route.
Well, what I see is we talk about having the old stuff and the new stuff, which the new gyrations of Route 66 is exactly what I'm standing in right here today. This beautiful museum, beautiful truck stop, travel center, and you've got the old and the new mixing. So this is the next generation, I guess you could say, of Route 66 to a degree. That's
a good analogy there. The key to success, which it's the key to success in any venture, is communication between all 8 states that the route runs through. And there's a lot of efforts being made to make that happen. I think it could be much better. It could always be better, but as long as we communicate with each other, work with each other, instead of just wall ourselves off in our separate little states in our little section of the route, we'll be successful in any efforts that we have.
Well, you definitely look like this is a successful. I had a hard time finding a parking spot out front when I came in, and that's a good thing. If someone wants to connect with you, your social media accounts, things like this, as far as how to reach the Russells and a good source for information, how would they go about doing that, Jerry?
Well, like everybody, we've got a website now. It's russellsttc.com, and then just Russell's Travel Center. As far as Facebook is concerned, there's you can go on YouTube. There's been several videos that visitors here have made. I attempted to make one a few years ago. I think I've got almost 100 hits now after about 4 years. But that's the way you can do it. And then my personal Facebook account, I do a lot of things with concerning the museum and the route. And of course, classic cars on my personal Facebook account. It's just Jerry Jones, on Facebook. But
well, you mentioned the partnership that you have with Quay County and Tucumcari. Larry Smith of the Motel Safari took me to the museum there. From my understanding, y'all loan cars to that museum?
We do. We have a 56 Mercury Montclair two-door hardtop over there. It's the white one with kind of the red bottom of it that you've probably seen in there. And every time we do a rotation here, Mr. Russell says, we need to swap that one out, and we kind of forget about it, and it still stays there. But it's a beautiful car. They've got a lot of great things over there at the Route 66 Museum.
How many cars do you have total here in this museum?
In the museum here, there's 21 on display, plus everything else. And when we do rotate, we do about 8 cars at a time.
As far as advice that you would give to new travelers on 66 that will be seeing this video, how would you want them to think of Route 66? How would you like to convey Route 66 to them? Kind of elaborate a little bit there.
Well, what I would suggest, first of all, allow yourself plenty of time. Don't regulate yourself to such a strict schedule. You're going to miss something. And try your best to patronize mom and pop businesses and motels along the way. You just mentioned Larry over at Safari, and then there's Kevin and Nancy at Blue Swallow, and David and Amanda down at the Roadrunner, the Ingmans there at TP Curios. There's so many places along that allow yourself time. Don't say, okay, we're going to do it in 7 days. You're going to miss so much because you're always trying to hurry to get to the next place.
Spending a lot of time on the interstate.
Exactly. A lot of windshield time there, and there's a lot of things to see in these towns along the route, and just invest in things like the Easy Guide to Route 66. It's kind of the Bible of the route travelers, and don't get in a big hurry. Enjoy yourself. There's several people that respond whenever we have, like foreign visitors especially, they get on Facebook and they say, what would you guys suggest we do? Our friend Blue Miller from England, who's probably one of the most knowledgeable people I've ever met about the route, she always recommends, take your time. You don't necessarily have to book, your entire trip ahead of time. And you're going to find a place to stay. You won't have to sleep in your car. And, patronize these mom and pop places. That's what keeps the route going. It's what made it and built it in the first place, and that's what'll keep it going.
Well, I think that's the key to keeping America going also is the mom and pops and getting away from the McDonald's and the places like this and moving over to eating at Kicks and Tucumcari or wherever the case may be. Well, Jerry, any parting words and with coming from the heart?
Well, just you guys stop by and see us. We're at exit 319, Indy, New Mexico, I-40. And if you're going west, which most people when they're traveling the route, they go east to west. There are some reverse route runners, but we're at exit 319, or 369, excuse me. And, stop by and see us. The museum's open 7:30 a.m. to 10 p.m. every day. And the main facility out here is open 24 hours. The restaurant, not sure what our hours are now at the winter times here, but great food in there. You can sit down. Somebody actually comes and takes your order, and they cook your food.
I've had a good experience in there myself.
And or if you're in a rush, you know, and you want to grab something, keep going, we got a Subway store out here. But you know, just take your time when you're traveling the route. Look for things and ask. Talk to locals. They'll tell you. People along the route are very friendly. You know.
Well, Jerry, you've answered a lot of questions and given us a lot of good information, and most of all, just thanks for doing your part on keeping Route 66 alive, and the opportunity to finally get a chance to meet you. I know we've been social media friends for a while, but it's a pleasure to call you a friend. And
pleasure, Mark. Thanks for stopping by. Enjoyed it very much. Thank you.
You're so welcome. And this is Movin Mark signing off with my next episode of Route 66 Spotlight. Everyone have a great day. Thanks. Bye-bye.